So I want to welcome you each to the FY25 PCHIP Pre-Proposal Conference for the Housing Opportunities for Persons with AIDS program here at the City of Tucson. A few items, housekeeping we said, in here we ask that attendees to mute themselves throughout the presentation and the questions will be addressed at the end. As I just mentioned, please go ahead and disregard that, knowing that we're a small group. We can absolutely just ask questions as we're going through the presentation, and that will allow us to answer your questions as easily as possible, and also allow us to continue the recording so that if folks want to view this recording later, they also have access to this information, even if they weren't able to attend today. If you experience technical difficulties, please log out of the presentation and then log back in. Today's webinar is being recorded. The presentation materials and recording will be made available at the PCHIP Call for Projects webpage, the same webpage where the request for proposals was posted, and where you would have downloaded those materials to access the application. So before we continue on, I want to take a moment for some brief introductions, and then we will, since we are such a small group, we will also ask folks who are in attendance today to introduce themselves as well. So I'll begin. My name is Jason Thorpe. I use he, him pronouns, and I am the interim deputy director at the City of Tucson's Housing and Community Development Department. And I'll turn it over to my colleague, Noemi Santana, to introduce herself. Oh, I'm sorry, are others hearing Noemi? Are you there? Oh, there we are. Now we can hear you.
Okay, awesome. Good morning. My name is Noemi Santana, and my pronouns are she, her, ella, and I am the contract supervisor.
I'm Susan Spies. I am the management coordinator for the PCD department. And hi, Christina.
Hi, my name is Christina, pronouns she, her. I am the project coordinator for HOPWA.
Thanks so much, team. And then Danielle, since you're the one with us this morning, we'll go ahead and give you a moment to introduce yourself as well.
Oh, hi. Sorry, I didn't know I was the only one. I'm Danielle Phelps. I work with the Jewish Family and Children's Services of Southern Arizona. I am just seeing if we are eligible to apply for this funding. So I was just seeing in the web, and I'll listen.
I think I'll just start with, have you been doing this for the last 3 years?
I don't know. I'm just the grant writer that started in September, and so I'm just figuring it out. I think the question I do have that I was told to ask was that are we allowed to apply considering we have administered PCHIP funds for the general community and not just the HIV/AIDS community?
So you're eligible to apply for this funding specifically to support people living with HIV and AIDS.
Okay, specifically for that.
Round in which you would apply for general community support. That round is every 2 years, and the most recent one was last fall.
I'm sorry, you said it was every 10 years?
Every 2 years.
Every 2 years, sorry. Okay, yeah, I was like 10 years. Oh my God.
No.
Oh, okay, and that was last fall. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, well then you and Naomi just asked if we had been doing this for 3 years, and no, we have not. So I assume that we are not eligible then.
Haven't been administering services for people living with HIV or AIDS for 3 years, then you wouldn't be eligible for this specific funding opportunity.
Right, for the specific funding.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, I'm not quite sure how many people with AIDS or HIV or AIDS we have administered to.
Sure.
Sorry about that.
No,
not at all.
You are fine. We'll continue with the presentation.
Okay.
Danielle, by all means, hang out. Also, don't feel any pressure if you decide this isn't the opportunity for you. We're going to continue recording the presentation just so that we can post it on our website for other agencies that maybe couldn't attend this morning. So we'll go through the whole thing. certainly interrupt us. And if you decide, nope, this isn't the opportunity for us, don't, feel free to hop off. That's okay.
Okay. Thank you so much. I really appreciate this, guys.
Of course. All right. So we're going to continue on with this morning's agenda. So we'll include an overview of the funding opportunity, a description of our eligible activities that can be supported with this funding, instructions for application, as well as the evaluation process, timeline, and resources. And then where we plan to have opportunity for questions, again, we can answer questions throughout the presentation. And with that, I'm going to turn it over to Noemi Santana to deliver the remainder of the presentation.
All right, thank you, Jason. So on December 12th, the City of Tucson began accepting applications for the Housing Opportunities for Persons with HIV/AIDS funding. This program is designated to assist persons living with HIV/AIDS and their families. Eligible applicants are not-for-profit organizations with IRS 501c3 and C4 designations, grassroots organizations without IRS not-for-profit status if they have a fiscal agent who meet all eligibility requirements. Applicants who are dedicated to assisting persons living with HIV/AIDS with establishing or maintaining affordable and stable housing and work towards improving their access to healthcare and supportive services. Applicants should have a minimum of at least 3 years of experience administering services for low-income persons living with HIV/AIDS and their families. All applicants must be registered with the U.S. Systems for Award Management, also known as SAM, and have a valid SAM unique entity identifier at the time of application. Not be suspended or disbarred from doing business with federal government as of the date of the application. And applicants must maintain eligibility requirement throughout the period of the performance. A link to the website where you will find application and all pertinent information is found here and further down in this presentation. Next slide, please. As I mentioned earlier, December 12th was the day that the call for projects was released. Today, January 3rd, we are conducting the HOPWA pre-proposal conference. And once a week, each Monday, responses to your frequently asked questions will be posted to the PCHIP webpage. The last day to submit your project application questions is January 15th. Applications are due January 22nd by 11:59 a.m. Arizona time in Zoom Grants portal. February 9th is the anticipated date that funding award recommendations will be announced. Funding recommendations must first be reviewed and approved by the City of Tucson Mayor and Council prior to our subaward grant announcement. The subaward grant announcement is expected to be made around March, and the project funding period begins July 1st. It's important that applicants funded under this solicitation know that they will be required to have sufficient operating capital available to cover program operations from July 1st through December 31st, while we await executable subaward documents and initial reimbursement. All eligible costs incurred after July 1st will be reimbursable if program requirements are met as of July 1st. Next slide, please. The HOPWA eligible activities advanced local priorities and goals established in the city's 5-year consolidated plan for HUD entitlement programs and the People, Communities, and Home Investment Plan. One of the eligible activities is transitional shelter with supportive services. These program funds may be used to provide temporary shelter for up to 60 days and supportive services to promote positive exits to permanent housing destinations. Another eligible activity is short-term rent, mortgage, and utility assistance, also known as STRIMU. These program funds is intended to assist individuals and families experiencing eviction or foreclosure in need of short-term stabilizing intervention and to reduce the risk of homelessness. These families may receive up to 21 weeks worth of assistance with mortgage or rent payment and utilities. And finally is the tenant-based rental assistance with supportive services, also known as TBRA. This program provides long-term supportive housing assistance and supportive services. TBRA program participants may move into a different unit and continue receiving assistance as long as the unit meets program criteria. You may apply for one or more of these 3 eligible activities. The City of Tucson will not fund standalone supportive services through this solicitation. The city prioritizes its HOPWA assistance to meet the housing needs of persons living with HIV/AIDS and expects provider organizations to leverage outside supportive services such as Access, the AIDS Drug Assistance Program, Ryan White, and other funds to the maximum extent possible to support beneficiary households. Next slide, please. The City of Tucson anticipates receiving approximately $1,013,393 in HOPWA program funds annually. The 3 eligible project types are allocated as follows. For transitional shelter with supportive services, the estimate funding allocation is $367,058 to maintain 12 or more shelter units. For the tenant-based rental assistance with supportive services activity, the estimated funding allocation is $505,000 to serve 45 or more households. For short-term rent, mortgage, and utility assistance, the estimated funding allocation is $100,000, and it does not include supportive services funding. This funding is expected to serve 50 or more households. The administrative and indirect costs are capped at 7% of project activity costs and not 7% of the total award. The City of Tucson anticipates making one or more award through this solicitation. The minimum amount you can request is $100,000 and no more than the funding available for the activity type. The City of Tucson reserves the right to increase or decrease award budgets or to make no awards under this solicitation at its discretion. Funding amount is subject to change based on HUD final funding award. Next slide, please. The application consists of 4 components and it is completed in the Soon Grants portal. The PCHIP webpage request for proposal materials include a PDF document that will walk you through step-by-step on how to set up your Soon Grants account. The 4 components are organizational and contact information. This must be provided in the applicant and organization section of the proposal narrative. Please be sure that the contact information is up to date and the person identified as the contact be aware so that they are responsive. The second component is the proposal narrative. Applicants are encouraged to fill out narrative questions to the best of their ability, considering the question prompt and evaluation criteria defined in its request for proposal. The third component is the project budget and detailed budget narrative. Applicant organizations are strongly encouraged to ensure that proposed activities are allowable and consistent with the city's priorities as developed through the local plan and the request for proposal. Applicants are also advised to propose lean competitive budgets which are prudent, reasonable, and necessary to deliver proposed services. And the last component is to include all required attachments and certifications which are listed in the Soon Grants application portal. Next slide, please. The Housing and Community Development Department has updated its grants making practices. The City of Tucson is committed to advancing racial equity and inclusion in its grant making and at all levels of the homeless response system. Organizations funded under this solicitation are expected to facilitate partnerships and internal practices to promote racial equity and have the responsibility to examine program data to ensure all eligible persons receive equitable services, support, and are served with dignity, respect, and compassion, regardless of circumstances, ability, or identity. Funded organizations are required to evaluate and respond to disproportionality in access to services, service provisions, and outcomes of funded projects. Applicant organizations should consider answering the equity and inclusion questions found in the requested proposal to prepare for a competitive, equitable project application. We strongly encourage all applicants to consider these questions prior to beginning the project application to respond to narrative questions. Another added change was the progressive spending requirement and recapture provisions. All projects funded under this solicitation are expected to progressively spend and invoice the City of Tucson at a rate of 25% or more of awarded cost per quarter. Funds more than 50% of the total grant award not expended by December 31st of 2024 will be recaptured unless alternative arrangements are made with the City of Tucson. And funds more than 25% of the total grant award not expended by March 31st, 2025 will be recaptured by the City of Tucson unless alternative arrangements were made. Alternative arrangements will only be made in the case of awards which include large projects expected to occur at a specific time later in the year. Another update is the 3 years funding. The city may, at its discretion, award 2 additional years of funding at the same or an adjusted budget amount. It's subject to satisfactory project performance, subaward grant expenditure, and continued availability of the funds. And the much needed component of transitional shelter with supportive services was also added. Next slide, please. Here you will find the outline of the P-CHIP evaluation process. First, there is the threshold review. In this step, the City of Tucson staff makes sure that applications meet the minimum threshold requirements. The criteria to pass this review is found as Exhibit A of this solicitation. All eligible applicants advance to the evaluation process, which is the panel review. The review panel implements a 2-part evaluation approach. Part 1 is equity impact analysis scored by the City of Tucson staff. The purpose of this evaluation is to determine the essential concepts, functions, and commitments to representative leadership and decision-making. Part 2 is community review panel qualitative review. Panel qualitative review refers to studying the quality of information provided in the project application and the required attachments. The panel review criteria is found as Exhibit B of this solicitation. Once the equity impact analysis and the qualitative review is complete and scored, eligible applications advance to the director review. The director of the Housing and Community Development Department reviews and then submits funding recommendation to Mayor and Council for final approval. Next slide, please. Applications will only be accepted through SUM Grant's application website. The SUM Grant application includes 4 parts: the organizational and contact information, the proposal narrative, the budget, and the attachments and certifications. Applications not received by the due date and time listed in this solicitation will be rejected and will not be considered for review. Applications found to have minor deficiencies may be corrected, but incomplete applications, including applications which do not provide required attachments or the narrative responses, shall be deemed as non-responsive and rejected without review. Applicants are strongly encouraged to consult Exhibit A and Exhibit B to the solicitation for clarification as to the contents, requirements of policies, and other attachments. All questions regarding this solicitation should be emailed to hcdgrants@tucsonaz.gov. The city will discontinue the questions and answers period on January 15th and will only respond to technical questions related to submission after this date. Okay, thank you. And this is it. So if we've already covered the Q&A earlier, so Jason.
Thanks so much, Noemi.
Yes.
give it one last moment, I guess, Danielle, in case you had any last questions. And no, sounds like she doesn't. So with that, I want to thank you for joining us this morning. This presentation will be available on the PCHIP Call for Projects webpage within the next few days. We'll get this uploaded, the recording. And we wish you the best of luck with your applications. Have a wonderful day.